The second match between KawaiiRice and G5. We have G5 starting at the 6 o'clock position as the orange protoss. At the 3 o'clock position, we have KawaiiRice as the brown terran, and let's see if he fares better on Tau Cross. Tau Cross is one of those maps where if he's going to go for more of that turtle cell, especially that vulture harass style, might pay off better, especially when it comes to third expansion, because it's extremely exposed to vultures here. This tends to be the expansion that most players go for. So as a protoss player, you have to constantly maintain map control. That's one thing about G5, though, is he's really good at maintaining map control. He's really good about responding to troops. Really, G5's an all-around fantastic player. I really have no other way to say it. He definitely deserved to be in that second place spot last season and is making a pretty good run out of it in this season. Again, this is part of WCG 2009 US Finals. It's the group stage match. Game 1, KawaiiRice just did not have the economy to keep up with G5 and ended up getting taken out. Again, doing for Child's Play, by the way, Child's Play cast, so go to broodwar.chipin.com. If you're not aware of what Child's Play is, basically they donate toys and games to ill children on Christmas, so which is freaking awesome. Really, there's a lot of reasons I'm in support of this, but yeah, if you want to learn more about it, childsplaycharity.org. I believe it was originally started by Penny Arcade, and those guys are awesome as well, so I guess a special shout out to them. So G5 going to scout that upper right-hand corner first with that probe. That's one thing that always throws me off in Tau Cross, just because of the way the pathing works. It looks like they're almost headed to that upper left-hand corner and when they're actually scouting the top right. Going to come across to KawaiiRice's base a little bit later, but KawaiiRice actually playing a little bit more open here, not going for a front door seal. We saw him have some trouble against Inca in another match, and let's see if he has some trouble again, but it looks like he's going to go for a somewhat similar build, which might be trouble against G5, especially if G5 decides to go for some early pressure. Looks like G5 already has that assimilator down. He's already got that gateway down. Any map without a ramp really opens up that early Dragoon press opportunity. So let's see if G5 decides to capitalize it. And really, he can play both ways. He can play the long economic game. But on a map like Tau Cross, it might encourage him to maybe play a little bit more aggressive, a little bit earlier, and try to end the game. Especially because you know KawaiiRice can be very powerful economically, especially in that mid game where vultures are really their strongest. So it looks like a single SCV on gas. Second SCV moving out there, so now 3 SCVs on gas, and that might be just for show for that probe, or maybe just to get a little bit of an earlier tank out. Really piling on the SCVs. Either way, he's going to have to pump out the Marines, and if he goes skimping on the Marines, I think he could end up in a lot of trouble. Moving out that SCV scout, going to check out. It's kind of a funny shape there. Why? Sorry. That was bad commentator moment right there. Going to check out that SCV in the upper right-hand corner. It's really fun when you control the map and stop a second and look back at these things. Like, oh, wow, that's interesting. G5 not placing that second gateway on 15 supplies, so it looks like he's going to play a little bit more of a long press game. Looks like that first factory down, 1 SCV on gas. So KawaiiRice going to transition to more of a economic game. And really getting greedy here, because he's only got, okay, he's now producing that second Marine, but he probably should have produced that second Marine a little bit sooner. It almost feels like he's producing that second Marine just into G5's kind of movement reaction here, the fact that he was able to juke that probe scout around. And I think that in moving 3 SCVs back on gas, and I'm wondering again if that's just for show, and I think G5 might note that, that probe exiting the base. Let's see if he leaves these SCVs on gas. It could be that we're going to see a fake double expansion here. I would expect more Marines produced more consistently, and let's see if we're going to see one more. Okay, yeah. So it's possible that we're going to see that fake double attack, and let's see how G5 prepares. He's already got that first Dragoon making his way that direction, and another pylon being placed in his second gateway as well. Cybernetics core about halfway. So playing a little bit safe here, going with the 2 Dragoon build. I think you should throw in a Zealot actually somewhere in the mix, because that, even with 1 Zealot, it can put you in a pretty solid position. And it looks like we are seeing a 5th and probably a 6th Marine alongside with this machine shop, and it's really that first mine upgrade. Yep, going to see that tank with a couple vultures to follow. Going to try to deny that that additional expansion to G5, get some bonus damage as best he can. But G5 going to scout this off immediately as soon as he moves this Dragoon up and sees basically more than 4 Marines, and this will put him on the defensive. Hopefully, yeah, scouting that out, trying to lure these Marines out, maybe a little bit. Going to use that corner. Needs to be careful doing so, though. Able to get a couple free shots, not losing any shield. He's going to be able to regenerate here and there, and playing very aggressively considering it's 5 on 2. Really trying to empty it before that tank can get in the mix, and that's really the tank being delayed this much is the difference between that those SCVs being pulled off gas, kind of in that interrupt, and trying to fool G5. G5 should back off now that tank is there, just to pure move out. And let's see if KawaiiRice now decides to change strategy. I can't imagine that he will. Producing a second tank, so it looks like it's going to be a 2-tank rather than the immediate Vulture to support, but chopping up a little bit with the additional Marines to kind of support, and really separated from the Marines from the tanks, which is going to give these Dragoons a field day, able to pick off 2, and KawaiiRice not microing this very well, and G5 is really exploiting it with just a minimal amount of Dragoon numbers. More Dragoons to follow. He's still got 3, and he's not out of the woods yet, though. Still in a little bit of a dangerous situation. KawaiiRice taking that command center, so trying to do a little bit of everything at once, which is somewhat dangerous. And it looks like he's just going to wait for the later upgrades, kind of changing his mind, going to go for later upgrades with the Vultures, and might end up losing a tank here. Ooh, is going to lose the tank. And now it's 2 Dragoons versus these Marines, and as long as he has range, which it looks like he should have in just a second if he does not already. Second tank now joining the fray, so at least some bonus there. But still not able to stop G5's additional expansion. At least he doesn't have any mines out of the way. Looks like that range has finished. 2 more Dragoons in the mix as soon as he joins them up. It should be fairly interesting. G5 playing a little bit passively, so at least KawaiiRice is going to be able to get his expansion up, and this is, so I got to say, it's successful. Because that's really the aim whenever you're doing some sort of fake pressure build, is to get your expansion up before the Protoss does. You're really optimally hoping to deny him his expansion. But planting some mines for a little bit more defense, lost a siege tank, a lot of Marines to do so, but G5 has to be confused at this stage, thinking, okay, where's the additional support, where are the Vultures, what's going on here? Looks like speed just now finishing, and let's see if these Vultures can now sneak in and maybe inflict some damage, slow G5 down a little bit. But KawaiiRice very nicely able to get that expansion up, lost a tank, lost several Marines to do so, but ultimately ended up successful. So Vulture's wandering out, just going to try to take him, check some expansions. G5 has this robotics facility out, has the scout, looks like 3 gates down. Still pumping a couple zealots, pumping that Dragoon, and he also has that shuttle now being placed alongside. 2 Vultures, are they going to be able to sneak in underneath? It looks like they are going to be able to sneak underneath, and wow, a couple of misfires there, but the 1 Dragoon to blockade. Nice placement, nice timing there on G5, and able to take out that mine before it can do anything. So KawaiiRice stymied there, which almost feels like it's a waste for that mine upgrade now, especially so early, as well as that speed upgrade that might have been placed a little bit more efficiently someplace else with some other thing. But you can see KawaiiRice's plan now on Tau Cross is really to exploit that mid-game, to use these Vultures, use their mobility to try to deny this third, try to harass this third. G5 already moving out to try to plant that, and that's going to be very, very dangerous with these Vultures moving out in the field. And I'm kind of curious why KawaiiRice is actually taking this path, because really if you go along that southern path, that's where you can kind of do that search along all ends. And it looks like a shuttle moving up, so G5 going to be aggressive with these Zealots and these Dragoons rather than offensive, much like that first match. Maybe try to clear this minefield. KawaiiRice still waiting for siege check. Looks like it's just finished, but he's very light on the tanks, and once again very heavy on the Vultures. The Vultures managing to peek through, able to see the secondary begging, stopped by a ninja pylon here, and a ninja gateway by G5. So, and it looks like KawaiiRice just going to plant what he can. G5 still not mining out of 2 expansion, so it looks like G5 is going to have to do a lot of damage with his attack, where he's going to end up falling pretty far economically behind. Able to take out 1 siege tank, starting to work on that second siege tank. Almost able to take that second siege tank out, and the SCVs look like they're going to be able to press this back and line back that attack. That shuttle's still alive, though, so if G5 cycles it back around and maybe ferries these troops in straight to the main, careful. Or maybe even, okay, it looks like can't lose those Dragoons, though. But yeah, if you can move these 4 Dragoons, if you can just kind of ferry them across, I don't know that KawaiiRice really going to be able to defend it. Backing off with his Vultures for whatever reason, maybe it's because these Dragoons already in the slot. It looks like they're starting to open up that front door, and G5 actually just kind of spotting things out, going to leave that shuttle on the front door, rely that he's not going to have to worry about any anti-air for a while and just use it for scouting otherwise, and just be content to take his additional expansion. But in a bit of an economic pickle, actually, because KawaiiRice has had these 2 expansions working for quite some time, and G5 hasn't been able to populate as natural because those Vultures diving in very rapidly. And it looks like a drop from KawaiiRice. He's going to get some Vultures into the back of G5's base, and he's going to be able to completely empty this, so ending up in a very nice economic position right off the bat, and that's very dangerous again on Tau Cross in the mid-game. I think KawaiiRice, the key for him is just going to be capitalizing on this and not just relying on don't let G5 get back in the match, basically. Now put down a lot of your factories and just press from there and use your strong macro style into the mid-game to kind of win this out. Right now, significantly ahead in supply. G5 economically just devastated here. Looks like his best saturated expansion is that third expansion. Actually, I take it back, his natural expansion, and more vultures wandering in, and there's no defense. Actually, just now getting the Dragoons position, having to flee these probes once again, and this is just cheap mineral time for G5. Oh, and those mines.